Hi, my name is Abigail. In this video, I'd like to share my Python Django project, and this was a group project. So I worked in a team of three. We had one group member serving as project manager, manager of our GitHub, dealing with our pull requests and all of that, and another person helping with the back-end code. The front end, I did design using Bootstrap 5. I kind of took this on as a bit of an extra challenge for myself to just improve my skills with Bootstrap. I'd only used it once before and found it pretty challenging, but the main focus was to build a full stack application using Python and Django. So our app is called Notealong. We wanted to design an app for people like ourselves, students who are learning how to code. First, I'm going to walk through the main features of the app. Then I'm going to dive into the code. I'd like to show you some of the features, how they look on the back end, and talk about some of the interesting challenges that I faced coding out this project. Finally, I'd like to talk about some takeaways I had from building this project. So first, I'll go ahead and log in as myself here so we can see some of the content. With this app, we're working with three kinds of data primarily, which are collections, notes, and references. So a collection is a grouping of notes and references around a certain topic. What I'm looking at here is a group of my collections here. These are collections that I've created. When I click into one, I can see that it contains notes and references. References are images or PDF files that are related to this topic. As far as notes go, notes can be edited, updated, and deleted using this Tiny Mice editor. I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce it, TinyMCE, which includes code blocks, which is part of the reason we chose it. As far as references go, images open in a modal so they can be viewed a little bit larger, and collections can be added here. For example, if I wanted to add some JS comparison operators and see that it's been added here. References can also be added without associating them with a collection. So on the My References page, there's a form to add another reference, and you can also view all of your references here. Another main feature here is browsing collections by other users. So when I click into here, I can see collections that have been made by other users of the app. I can also go to different pages here. If I wanted to look at this collection by one of my teammates, I can see that here. I can see that he's shared them, but I also don't have the ability to update notes here or add references to someone else's collections. When you browse to a collection by another user, you see a remove button if you've already saved it, or if I go ahead and remove this from my saved collections, it'll be replaced by this save button. So saving this collection makes it accessible later. If I go to saved collections, I can see all of the collections that I've saved. So here's the one that I just saved here. I can click into that to view it. The final feature that I want to show before diving into the code is this search bar. So if I were to search, for example, Django, I can search among my collections, or I can search for all collections, including those uploaded by other users. Clicking the search button here will pull up a list of search results. I can then click on any of these and perform the same kinds of functionality as well. As I jump into the code here to talk about some of the features and implementation as well as challenges that I faced, I'd just like to preface this by saying this code is not perfect. This is what my team was able to produce within the week that we had to create this. But the point of this video is not to show a code that has been completed to perfection, but rather just to highlight some of the things that I worked on in this project, the specific challenges that I faced, and some of the interesting approaches that we found to address these challenges. The first main challenge that we faced was dealing with Django's class-based views and identifying which behaviors of those views we needed to override in order to create the behavior that we wanted for our app. Our entire app is designed to look like a single-page application, even though it really isn't. Let's say I go to add a note. We wanted our same collections list to appear here on the left side, which isn't really a typical behavior of a class-based create view. So looking at the code for this note create function, one of the things that we had to do was override this get context data by supplying some additional data to the view and then pass that data to the template to be rendered. That was something that we ran into a lot to kind of get this single page app look and feel. The next thing that I wanted to point out was the search feature. Prior to beginning this project, I'd never coded out a search bar for a full stack application. So this was a huge learning experience for me. As you can see in the template here, we have two options for searching. You can search my own collections or all collections. So we used this drop down with the type and values for each of these two options and use that in the view to narrow down what we need to filter for. So are we filtering for this user's own collections, or are we searching among all shared collections? So do we just need to find the collections where shared is equal to true? That was something I felt really proud of accomplishing in this project. Finally, the last feature that I'd like to talk about is the saving feature. So this is another feature that we really wanted to implement for our users, because what good is it to browse collections from other users if you can't refer back to them easily? Implementing this feature starts in the model. We added this profile model, which extends the user model by creating a one-to-one relationship with the user. So every time a user signs up for this site, a profile is created. The other purpose of this model is to save that user's saved collections. In the template, we are running some logic to determine whether this collection that we're looking at is whether it has been saved already by that user. If so, show them the remove button. If not, then checking whether the user who created that collection is or is not the same as the logged in user. So if the logged in user is not the one who made that collection, then we'll show them the save button. In the view, these two functions for saving and removing a collection are actually quite straightforward and simple. So just grabbing the profile of the logged in user, grabbing the collection whose details we're looking at, saving that collection to that user's profile, and saving their profile. It's just the exact opposite for removing the collection. The reason that I get very excited about features like this and wanted to include it in this video is because for such a compact little chunk of code here, this feature just provides so much value to the users. It's something that I really wanted to implement. It was the last thing we were able to implement in this project within the time constraints, and I just think it adds a ton of value to this app. Finally, I'd just like to talk about some of the main takeaways that I had building this project. First, working on this project gave me so much more confidence in my ability to find solutions for problems I hadn't encountered before, and to be able to dive into documentation and find answers to things that I needed to get started on coding out some of these more complicated features. I love the challenge of coming up with a new feature and then doing the research to figure out how to implement it, or looking at different approaches to it. In the future, I'm actually planning to, and this is a team project, but I'm planning to expand on it in my own time to not only refine these existing features that we put in place, but also expand to include some more features that I have in mind. I'd like to have a kind of more dynamic note editing feature. So instead of just creating a note and typing it in here, I'd love to have some kind of code snippet integration, some kind of dynamic code editor. And I'd also like to add more user interactive features. So things like comments, maybe suggesting improvements or additions to someone else's notes, ratings, things like that. That would just add kind of more fun interactive elements to the app. I will link in the description of this video the team GitHub, which has our code, as well as just some information on our inspiration for this program, for this app, as well as a link to my own personal GitHub where you can see some of the other projects that I've worked on. I will include a link to our live deployed site as well if you'd like to click around. Thanks for listening to this video, and I hope you found it interesting. When I make improvements to this app in the future, I hope to make another video as well.